Welcome to what may be the exciting finale to the Pacific Championship Series. I am Clement Chu. I will be your host and play-by-play today. We are going to have a great day of games coming up. With me is Nightstar. It's going to be a rare combination. First time you see us two on the casting desk together. And of course, as always, our wonderful sponsors. Thank you to Riot Games, Carry Live, and Garena for organizing the tournament and making all this possible, and of course to CTBC that's been with us all along. We truly are a family here in the PCS. Now, Frank, it's been a while since I've been able to cast with you. It's been a long split, a lot of exciting games, a lot of storylines, and it all comes down to today. Tell me what you're feeling about it.
Yeah, it all boils down to today. There's so many impactful games here today, and I have a feeling that J Team, like, they could take that first seed. It felt like perhaps, PSG, they were just going to run away with it, but so far in the last 2 weeks, they've kind of tripped up a couple times, and that's opened the door for a team like DCG or a CFO, and now J-Team to try and make a run for it. Unfortunately, CFO most likely won't be able to contend for that spot.
Yeah, we're going to have to find out here, as we still have 4 teams in the running at first place. This is yesterday's games for you. Big day for J-Team, that took down both PSG and CFO.
Yeah, and the results here really changed the placement here for J-Team, because it means that PSG Talon might not actually take that first seed. They may not even get top 2 here, as we get to see the standings. DCG, PSG, J-Team, the top 3 right here. They could very well be tied at the end of today, which would mean we would have a bonus games tomorrow between the 3 of them to determine who is the one that doesn't actually get the bye through that first round, the all-important bye, which gives you that extra bit of time to prepare for your first playoff match.
And I do want to lay out our implications right here. It's about who gets the top 2, then who gets the side selection in terms of the first round, and then who unfortunately is going to, not get that side selection. We have our 7th and 8th place teams locked into the lower bracket. Impunity and Meta Falcon cannot catch up to anyone else. But the big movers here, of course, top 4, any of those teams could still go into the top 2, even get the top spot. And for Frank Esports, they're looking in to get on the action. There's a chance for them to actually still catch up here and go into the top 4.
Yeah, top 4 would be really cool here for the side of Frank Esports, because it would give them side selection advantage in that first round playoff match. It wouldn't give them bye, but certainly against the top 4 teams, you want to be able to have that extra bye. Today's matchups laid out for you. It's all important matchups really in that second half of the day, but we do also start off with a very standings key matchup here with Impunity taking on J-Team.
Because J-Team, they still have 2 matches to play still, and they could improve to 14. They could still get that top spot. I think we're going to have a fun match in the second match of the day here. And then later on, PSG plus CTBC, DCG plus Frank Esports. These are, again, all teams that are contesting within that sort of top 4 framework, with 3 of those teams still able to go into top 1. A little spoiler ahead. We are guaranteed to have at least one tiebreaker tomorrow, so you got more PCS coming your way, and that also unfortunately means that we might not be concluding business today. There's a very real chance that it's going to have to go all the way to tomorrow to finally get our playoff lock-in. So that's the big stage. That's the stakes. We're going to go into the first match of the day. Impunity versus J-Team. Again, Impunity cannot improve their situation out of the lower bracket start, but J-Team, they got a lot to play for here. So what do you see?
Yeah, J-Team, I was really concerned for them when they came out of their kind of COVID week, because they didn't look quite all there coming into week number 4, when you reevaluate how their matches went, they looked like very much the playoff J team we saw last split, where they were very exploitable in the draft phase, even though this team does have a very high floor. Sometimes if Lil V doesn't get his way during the lane phase, it really opens up holes during their mid and late game performances. So I was definitely concerned about them coming in. However, their early games have really resolved a lot of the concerns I did have for this squad, and now it's about them being able to close the deal, get these 2 wins, get into that tiebreak, and really put a stamp on the regular season.
All right, let's take a look at our contenders today. It's going to be Impunity first here. Surprisingly, no changes. They're going to stick with this roster to the end of the season. It's going to be Onyx over LZ, and then you have Yushin, who is playing in the bottom side as well. I felt like they had a great draft yesterday, but everything sort of fell apart in the team fight. What do you want to see from these guys as they head into the postseason?
The issue with Impunity for me when I look at the squad is that even though drafts can be relatively good, as you mentioned, when it comes to the in-game decision making, there's not really, it doesn't feel like there's a decision hierarchy. As in, like, hey, who's actually going to be the main initiator? And because of that, Alex seems a little bit too forced into that role, which doesn't feel like to be his comfort zone, and he's really struggled in that manner. However, we are going to now see Taipei J team as it's Rock in the top lane. He's slowly been incorporated into the team, and it feels like now it's his job to lose.
I will say, I think J-Team are laughing at the fact that Rock is the only one with the blurry camera. The rest of them look like they're there for a photo shoot. They look like they're going on stage to get the championship.
He's got the full mosaic going.
I know, that's kind of weird for Rock, but I want to highlight that Rock has been our starting player for J-Team for quite a while right now, and we're going to be taking a look at the jungler, Kongyue. Great performances so far, very gank heavy as you can see in the first blood participation. Meanwhile, Alex, I think he's trying to go up. Unfortunately, can't get up into the upper bracket.
Yeah, really unfortunate for the side of Impunity. We can see from the stats comparison, it's pretty similar across the board. I'm actually quite surprised at how involved Impunity are in getting those first blood rates. At 44%, that's actually not too shabby. However, for J-Team, Kongyue is just like an integral part of how they get the ball rolling. It's about him and Uniboy playing more tempo style and then being able to snowball it into their side lanes, mostly into that bot lane. Whereas for Impunity, it still doesn't feel like they have quite the team identity on how they want to execute.
We'll see if they can find it quickly in the draft, as we have Lucian Kalista banned away already. A pretty strong indication of what's to come. And then J-Team taking away Husky's probably best champion in the Silas and the Pop.
Now they're going to also add on the Wukong. So it does mean we have the Sivir, Aphelios, and Zeri left available when it comes to bot lane champions, and it will be the Sivir locked in for J-Team. Kind of expect the Aphelios to come through for Lil V. He seems to be the most comfortable on this champion. The Zeri is sort of soft countered by the Sivir, but it's also one of those situations where the Zeri can find the fights and really take over the game against a Sivir as well. It does seem like they want to go towards the Zeri Yumi combination.
It does seem like the go-to answer for a lot of our teams here in the PCS. You don't want to get the cat and the boomerang lady together. That's just bad news.
Yes.
They can run too fast at you. So they're going to play the takeaway. And now Impunity, usually this is a pretty jungle heavy draft coming in from Alex. He's been playing a lot of the buys recently. So what do you want to see with the Sivir? What's your favorite Sivir combo? I'm kind of interested in your opinion.
Well, it looks like they're going for Sivir Lulu. Definitely an interesting take. Of course, Lulu allows you to really play more aggressive in the lane phase, and then they tack on a Galio. I was actually expecting more of the Talia.
Uh-huh.
However, this can sort of remedy some of your engaged power that I was kind of talking about earlier, right? Where Alex, he seems a little bit out of place as primary initiator, and maybe Husky with this Galio pick can be more of a proactive initiator rather than something like the Talia, which kind of fishes from range. He can just get in nitty gritty and help facilitate space to then Alex be able to jump in and find his secondary follow-up engage.
So Talia on the other end is just going to be taken by J-Team. It seems like J-Team are just taking the secondary pick that you mentioned over and over again. So, keep up. Your predictions have been really good. J-Team going to ban away the Trundle. Interesting ban here since, we're talking about Engage, but Trundle not one of those. And Impunity, on the other hand, going to start focusing on the solo lane coming in from Rock. He's been a great Gnar player. That one is still on the table very conspicuously.
Mm-hmm. It is an interesting ban that we see the Trundle come out here. I would actually typically look at the Trundle as a good champion to play against the Sivir Lulu Galio combination, because it's whenever you have that Sivir, it's very much a run at you comp, and it also means that typically they're not going to have the ability to jump over terrain, which is what Trundle offers into a composition. Just throw up some terrain, prevent them from getting over. You also have the Talia, so it can really stuff a Sivir comp right into this instance, as we get to see more top lane directed bans. So I thought we would see a couple more directed into the jungle, but certainly when you have Kongria, he's got a much more diverse champion pool than someone like Alex, who seems really only effective on a couple of them.
Oh, and we are going to get the Vi being selected here by Kongria. They do like that Vi Yuumi combo, been very popular recently. Now Impunity does have to answer back with a top laner and also a jungle coming in. Help me out on this one. Where are we going here as Viego hovered here?
This seems like a Viego Gnar combination. As that would be the most vanilla picks I'd be looking at. I'm not really a big fan of the Viego as of this moment because of the it does feel like he doesn't offer you enough during the lane phase to try and get some of these lanes snowballing. But given how strong these solo lanes are going to be, maybe that helps remedy some of those issues Alex might find with this Viego pick early on, as Rock currently hovering this Mordekaiser pick, which is certainly interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the Mordekaiser. It typically isn't seen as the strongest matchup against Camille. And, a throwback. Renekton. That's been a long time since we've seen this pick. What is going on here?
Renekton, of course, having a couple of buffs to his kit. The healing went down, as with really all the healing across the board in the game. With the grievous wound changes, but because fights are going a little bit longer, he can get a little bit more value out of that ultimate, and the ultimate now has a 0.1 AD ratio, which, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it does add a decent chunk more damage in these early team fights. And when you look at J-Team, it is about trying to establish a really early aggression to then snowball and then allow the Zeri to take over the game, because if you don't do enough during the early phase of the game, the Sivir gets away to that 300 CS breakpoint, and then she just kind of 1v9s the game.
Absolutely. So, I just looking at the compositions, I feel like this is a fast and furious composition from both sides. You have Cannonball, Galio, Camille on one side, and then you have Talia, Yuumi, Vi on the other side for Engage. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this just two really fast cars crashing into each other? Yeah,
this is definitely a jousting match, right? Where you have two horsemen just charging at each other, just trying to knock each other off with their lances. So it is going to be sort of a game of chicken to a certain degree as well. And as things stand, though, I do favor the side of J-Team just a little bit more because of the ability to have a better snowball potential around this Vi pick
Mm.
early on, whereas Vigo wants to kind of farm up a little bit more in his current iteration, and he's not as explosive uh, in his current state. And that also goes the same way for this bottom lane, right? At 2
Mhm.
items, the Zeri pick is going to have a little bit more impact, which is an item earlier than that Silver pick.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. I think having that, main initiation on the Vi does make the jousting a little bit easier compared to the Viego that doesn't really have the same amount of range here. But both of these teams, lots of engage potential, lots of snowballing. It's two fast cars running headstrong at each other, and one of them does have to end in a terrific crash. I like my pyrotechnics right here.
Yeah.
So we're going to go into J Team versus Impunity. Once more to lay out the stakes. J Team are looking to hit 14 wins and potentially get that top spot in the standings, while Impunity, the best they can do is improve to 7th or hold on to 7th.
Yeah, for Impunity, it's really about trying to build any sort of momentum here. Uh, as they've been a team with a lot of trials and tribulations during this split because of how many roster shuffles have happened. And at this point in time, they just need to find something that really works for them. And for J Team, it's about maintaining momentum. As you mentioned, they can get to 14, and if they do so, they would guarantee themselves a tiebreak at the very least for first place.
Yep, they have so far played one less game compared to everyone else. Actually, Impunity is kind of in the same situation here as they should play 2 matches today. And taking a look at the Summoners and the Keystone Runes here, we do have a more aggressive setup from Enso this time. Not going with the heal, going with the Ignite. So, am I reading this correctly? But is this going to be like Snowball City bot lane?
It will be interesting to see how it pans out. I think whenever you play into a silver lane, you do want to try and be a little bit more aggressive, even though the Zeri isn't necessarily one of those champions that can just pop off in the lane phase. But when you do, again, have this Vi pick and you have a Talia, you would favor J Team's 4v4 potential over the side of Impunity. Although Husky, would like to point out, has taken the Predator. So he's trying to sort of shore up some of the early aggression we don't get to see a lot of from Alex, and try and control this early game tempo himself.
We have seen a lot of different setups coming in from the Galio this time. Husky, unlike Nesty, he's not going to go for the ghost, so it's not the full zoom Galio, but it's pretty close. Gets back to lane easier as well with the TP. And we are seeing both junglers now converge onto the top side. Kongra is spotted out here, so a little bit more vision coming in from the side of Impunity, as Kongra is able to just make sure that the jungler is not onto the top side here. He potentially threatens a dive, as is so well known with the Renekton into the top lane. Doesn't look like he's going to commit to it. Meanwhile, in the bottom side, wow, Little V taking a lot of damage so far. Already out of pots. He will be able to slowly heal up, though, with the Yuumi.
Yeah, healing will be there. It might take a little bit to ramp up, as it will be a topside focus for Corner, and he's actually looking for a possible dive or really creative gank angle, which is what you can do with this Vi pick. Currently looks like they're looking for a 3-man dive.
Jackpot, though, is very healthy in terms of the HP department, but
no
as
mana,
you mentioned, Uniboy coming in. Rock starts to take one shot. The TP is in, and the burst damage goes through.
Very
Rock survives on a sliver of HP. That has got to be less than 50 there. And Husky comes in with the TP, but he's got nothing to do. Kongra Uniboy holding strong. First blood for J Team.
immediate teleport back coming in from Jackpot into the mid lane, so they aren't going to be heavily punished when it comes to lane allocations. At the same time, just a very well executed dive coming in from J-Team. One of the big things here with the turret changes is that you can still commit to very early dives, which is exactly what we see here, as tower doesn't hit quite hard, although because of that first tower shot, the second tower shot does almost get him here. But Rock, with the extra proc of the Triumph, able to survive in that instance. I believe he also got the level up. So
yeah,
double procs of HP boost, really cutting him some slack in that instance. And it's actually a massive win because Renekton can snowball some of this early pressure against the champion like Camille.
Absolutely. And you know, in that replay, we saw the last take a plus 20 HP coming out of Rock on the top, saving him. So unfortunately for Jackpot, not able to equalize that one. After the TP from Camille into the mid lane, we do have her now back into the top side. Alex gonna get some revenge, trying to establish vision for his top laner, but he doesn't spot Congrad just yet. Oh, I think he does spot the Raptors here, so both sides should know that the junglers are around the corner. Congrad going to walk over the pink ward. There you go, he does see it. And Alex now charging in with the level lead, and Galio very close by. As, ooh, this could be a reverse top lane gank tower dive. A 3v2 though, if they do commit to it.
It is level 6 on the Talia. They might try and pick off Kongria instead, since he's not the one close to tower, but Talia, of course, can catch up very quickly with her own ultimate. That's why they go ahead and back off. Another thing to note is just how perfect the setup is for Uniboy to really take over the game, right? Because you sort of have point and click CC with the Renekton and also with the Vi.
Oh, the bot lane though, we have a big fight. Little V takes Rain to the face. Oh, and he gets taken down by Yushin. Yushin just steps up to him, throws the pixie, and Little V dies out of nowhere. That seems to be a major miscalculation. As Little V held on to the flash, he was walking forward, and Yushin just guns him down.
Man, that's a big loss of resources there, because they also just throw down the control ward. That's a minus 75 in that instance, right into the middle of lane. Everything goes wrong for J-Team in that bottom side of the map. Lil V dying really hurts, as this is definitely a very high harass lane with the Lulu, and he doesn't even flash or any of that. He just gets autoed down by the support Lulu, and that's definitely a blunder you don't want to see.
A very awkward play. I think, did you just see Enzo's face right there? That was a very awkward smile coming in from Enzo, as J-Team really don't want Impunity to play spoilers to their plans of PCS domination here. We're going to take a look at the bot lane. Little V coming back into lane, but there's a lot of attention. Alex manages to sneak behind him. There are pings going down, so somehow J-Team is able to detect the Viego, but they have to back off immediately here. They're not going to have help from Vi, as Kongri is in the top side of the map, and that should be a free first Drake going over to the side of Impunity. Things not looking that stable for J-Team on the bottom end of the map.
Yeah, things looking great for Impunity. Able to get this bot lane going. And now Lil V's all by himself. His Yuumi has a little ways to go. Let's have all.
He's got level 6, lightning crash going through, and he immediately flashes
They
back.
could turn.
Oh, Yushin, you know, taking a lot of HP, but he's not going to draw tower aggro as they walk out. And in the meantime, J-Team do take down the Herald here. We saw Rock pushing super hard against Jackpot throughout all of this, so all in all, it doesn't seem to be that bad of a trade for J-Team, as they could very well just get a kill here with the level 6 Vi and drop that Herald.
Yeah, we don't see the rotation coming in from Annex or Yusin towards that top half of the map, so J-Team are able to just go ahead, secure that Rift Herald. This is really important for them, because they've got more of that tempo-oriented draft with the Renekton, with the Talias, and so they really want to try and snowball this Renekton pick with that Rift Herald. Jackpot actually pulling the wave, able to establish a bit of a soft freeze, or at least slowed things down. And it's really all about how Uniboy now pairs up with Kongri, a very classic combination we've seen throughout the year as they look to take over the game.
Oh, Rock goes in. Jackpot is able to get out as Kongri just comes in for the opportunistic gank here. In the meantime, we have been seeing Uniboy just constantly hovering towards the top side of the map. Both of these mid laners thinking the exact same thing, as we just saw Galio and Talia both heading towards the top side when the minion waves have been cleared. Now the minion waves are back in, they show themselves, and Impunity heading towards the bottom here. They do have a huge pressure point with Little V not having the ultimate just yet, not having the flash. Let's see if they can find an angle of attack, or is it going to be Kongri as he pops out right in front of Yushin. Yushin is caught in no man's land, not enough time to react, but here comes the Galio plus the Viego to get the knockup onto Kongri.
Uniboy's here now.
Instantly flashes. Uniboy trying to cut people off. He's gonna land the seismic shove as Husky goes back in to try and help his team, but can he get out? The block from Kongri. Down goes Galio, and J-Team come up with a 2+ in the kill lead.
They cash out massively, and now they'll also be able to cash in on 2 more plates. Lil V, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be close enough to actually get the gold. Actually, it does. So it will be split among 3 members in that instance. Really nice little bit of cash out for the side of J-Team. And that's such a massive, massive play, as it does help Lil V get back into the game. As spotted on that control word, immediately they turn onto Yushin, and he's just not able to stall long enough with that ultimate to buy time. And Husky comes in, and it looked good, but because of the proximity to the wall, Lil V is actually able to stay safe and dodge out onto the damage from Husky, which allows him to actually rejoin the fight and participate, allowing him to net himself that next kill.
Big play from JT there. Uniboy was able to catch up to the play with the Weaver's wall coming through there, and he did have a great angle, just hurting everyone against the terrain, like you said. Now J-Team setting up for another Vi Yumi play into the mid lane. This is spotted out by Impunity, though. We have plenty of pings going down here. And into the top lane, Alex trying to find a kill onto Rock. The Brock flashes over. He's looking for the turnaround onto Jackpot. Not going to find the Camille, but he also stays alive. And in comes Kongri. It's been a while, but very easy to forget how terrifying Renekton can still be.
Yeah, the extra little bit of damage also really enforcing itself in that instance. Okay.
Ooh, Husky actually gets stopped by Uniboy and the body block. Husky's got no flash, nowhere to go. Kongri just gonna chase him down. Kill goes over to Uniboy, and wow, that was such a flashy play from Uniboy. Actually, just body blocking that.
Yeah, very clean execution onto the gank there from Uniboy. Again, this composition really set up for him to succeed very well. Being able to have 2 point-and-click CCs essentially with the Vi and the Renekton allows him to get really easy knockbacks. As now they're going to turn their attention over to this next dragon. It is a nice dragon to pick up, as it would deny the dragon stacking coming in from Impunity. And Impunity are just really waiting for the scaling at this point to kick in, for this Camille to be able to get online, and for the Sivir to actually get online as well, which...
Husky just going to be engaged upon Uniboy now with the first full burst combo. Ignite goes down, and down goes Husky once again. That Vi Yumi combo just taking names across the board. Now Uniboy still has that Weaver's wall. They're heading in towards the bot lane. Impunity running away with Little V chasing in onto them. They're not going to be able to make up that distance, but the idea was there, and now Impunity have to scramble everyone towards the bot lane just to hold this lane steady.
Looks like they wanted to just go for perhaps a reset gank. there.
Mm.
As Lil V actually burns quite a few tools there. Burning that ultimate
Yep.
means that he only has the summoner spells to get out of a gank. Top lane is just kind of still short trades going back and forth, and it does look like Boy's or Lil V is just kind of stuck in no man's land trying to protect this tower, but he could come under fire.
And it just seems like Enzo has left him to his own devices here. First tower is going to go over towards Impunity. Small win for them. In the meantime, J-Team, they just like picking on Husky. Husky already 3 deaths in this game. We have Uniboy with the much earlier Mythic coming out. And Yuumi has been non-stop going into Uniboy's lane. They're just setting up for a Herald right here. All members coming in across the map for Impunity as well. And maybe we finally get to see the Cannonball combo. That's the thing I've been missing so far from Impunity. They have yet to really utilize their engage tools. As Kongre pops around the corner, he's gonna get spotted. Alex goes in onto the Vi. Vi very low HP, gets taunted back, and down he goes. Now Alex
in the
is
back line.
able to use the abilities. Rock trying to ward off everyone, but he's going very low HP. He could just fall here, and the last crit does find him. Onyx is chasing down with the reset. Does he get him? No, Uniboy, 1 hit away. Stays alive, but not so lucky for Little V. Oh, Uniboy gets a 2-man seismic shove. Not enough to save everyone here. And J-Team, they just fall one by one. Impunity are back in it.
Oh my lord, Clement. That is a massive team fight for the side of Impunity. They go 4-for-1 in that instance. And all of a sudden, the game script literally just flipped on its head. We were saying, man, Kongre on this Vi with this Yuumi is just so aggressive. They just can't do anything about it. But what's good against the Vi is when you just start up straight up 5v5s. And when you engage on a champion that's not Sivir, it gives her the extra airspace to now start auto-attacking, get those bounces going. As we get to see, it's a bit of a split situation, and because of how hard the Vi gets bursted down, it's so much of their team fight power removed straight off the bat. And this is the really big boon coming in from the Galio Camille combination, is that there's no way to outplay that as the Zeri because of the point and click easy execution onto that champion.
That was a weird positioning from J-Team. Like, they were actually, they were down 1 man at the start of the fight, and then they were chasing different targets. I felt like, you know, Rock was essentially body blocking for nothing as J-Team carries try to chase on the other direction. We are going to see a bit of a tower trade here. A lot of gold being funneled onto Uniboy. He's already 50 CS ahead and still split pushing. Meanwhile, Jackpot is going to get his share of the gold on the other side here, trying to get him to that point where he's going to be a side lane carry. And for Rock, I do want to point out, this is going to be a much more side lane focused build here. He is going to go for the Blade of the Ruined King first.
Yeah, I'm actually really interested in seeing what his next item will be. If it ends up being the Gore Drinker still, or maybe it's going to be something like the Stride Breaker, because you have the extra sustain now built in from the Blade of Ruined King. You can then go for something like the Stride Breaker now to really stick onto targets, especially like a Sivir, who's extremely quick.
So we
have
will
get into River first, but it's going to be a bit of a base race sort of trade situation.
J-Team, they moved all 5 members, while Impunity, they were just going for the tower. So they've got 1 already, inside track into the mid lane, but unfortunately for them, no minion waves. Onyx is going to be absolutely fine here, and it's about how much they can get in the top side here. Jackpot already starting to work on that tower with the Sheen procs here. And it looks like it's going to be 1 tower for Infernal. Not too bad overall for J-Team. Impunity fishing for an engage. Rock flashes forward, and Uniboy going in. Final chapter finally gets the stun, but there's the wild growth.
Oh
He
no,
goes
Jackpot.
down. J-Team are going to continue to fight into this one, but there's a lot of stunts being thrown on the other way. Polymorph.
Oh, look at the
is
ricochet.
big one. He's still alive. Yushin getting out with the flash there. J-Team so far getting a 2-for-1, and they're going to be satisfied at defending their top lane tower.
Oh man, that was definitely really close though. As you can see, the Ricochet is already starting to do work. 2-item power spike coming in from this Sivir. And when everyone's just clumped up like that, there's just so much damage getting poured by that Sivir. And that fight definitely could have turned on its head. But the key thing in that fight, when we see the replay, is the fact that Husky goes down before they're actually able to activate the Cannibal comp. Right? They throw down the Camille ultimate after Husky goes down. And because of that, you don't get the follow-up damage that's offered by that Galio. And we get to see the engage coming in from Kongria trying to, keep Annex occupied. It also buys a little bit of extra time for them to finish off that next member before Annex just kind of mows them all down. However, Annex already doing a ton of damage even at this stage in the game. So J-Team does look like they're operating on a timer.
3-man gang squad trying to find Jackpot. They get the seismic shove here, and everything lands. Jackpot is a goner. Slow from Mutant Boy. He's now 4-0-4. Ooh, boy, that is a, those are some very hurtful stones that are being cast now on Rift. I think what we've seen from the fights so far is that whoever engages first just actually wins. There is no denying the focus fire potential from either of these teams. So whoever just is able to get the angle, instantly pop it, they usually win. Kongria going for another face check. I think I've seen this movie before. As he survives, the TP is able to zone. Rock takes a lot of damage into the front line. He's going to get out just fine in the end. But boy, oh boy, what a dicey situation that was. Impunity, lots of pings going down around this Baron now.
Yeah, Kongria really tempting fate. Yes, he's got a very efficient build with the Kempung Chainsword, but he doesn't have any durability, right? He's kind of just a bundle of HP at this point, as he is still waiting to complete that Sunfire. So when it comes to face checking, it's definitely a very dangerous situation for Kongria, and he's definitely at risk to get burst out. However, if he survives that burst, he's able to recover all that HP back because of the existence of just simply Yuumi, right? And when we look on the flip side, for the side of Impunity, they don't really have... Oh, Jackpot in trouble possibly again. He does spot
it out.
Kongria at least, though. There's just no grievous wounds quite built up early on. And part of that is because it's just much less efficient. But at the same time, if you're dealing with a Yuumi with Moonstone already completed, you probably need that.
Yeah, there's only one Ignite here and none of the healer reduction like you were talking about. We are going to head over towards the fourth Drake of the game, Infernal Soul. It will be here, so definitely high priority objective for both of these teams. J-Team gonna take hold of the Scuttle, and it seems like so far J-Team does have the lead in terms of the frontline tanks, so they've been able to open up terrain just a little bit easier. Impunity typically waiting on J-Team to vacate the spots before they go in themselves. They are all grouped up together, very much well aware of the fact that J-Team could just burst one of them up. If they split up, we're getting some tense moments across the wall. Kongria does have that flash, but he's going to be targeted here. Jackpot going to the wall, doesn't find the stun. Good stuff from Kongria. He avoids potential disaster, and now we have Impunity with the inside track on the Drake. Jackpot goes in, able to block out.
It's only on Rock.
Stun. Rock goes down immediately. J-Team not able to react to this one, but is that enough of an edge for Impunity to actually start the objective? They're going to go for it. Yuumi Boy is hovering around. Husky charges.
Still fight this.
He doesn't find this one. And in goes Kongria. They actually see the Infernal Drake. Kongria dies, but it doesn't matter. They get the objective just with the 80 carry. Littleby is going to walk out and even turn around to deal damage as the exhaust goes on to Jackpot. Alex also has to walk away here. So all in all, it's going to be Impunity with 2+ kills, but J-Team with the objective.
2-0, and because they were able to take down Korea, they are going to turn their attention over to the Baron buff, and they certainly have more than enough damage to take this down very, very quickly. Lil V, Uniboy, can they stall? Of course, these zaps can do a lot of work. It's not going to find anyone though.
He's going to run forward.
Rock's here.
We still have 2,000 HP, and Uniboy has made his way across the Baron pit. Finally, they are going to get the spike down. Impunity find the big purple worm, and everyone just rushes away. Can Little B find anyone?
Are they going to stop the
to chase? Can they get any of these? All they need is just 1 Q from Yumi. Rock going into the back line. Not going to be able to stop Alex with the empowered TP, and Impunity, they get out.
A big win for them. Even though they weren't able to get that next dragon to prevent J-Team from getting onto that sole point, they cash in with a massive monetary advantage, being able to get 2 kills and the Baron buff. Now they have the slight gold lead, which leads to extra stats, and also because of that Baron buff helps even out stats-wise temporarily against the additional Inferno Dragon already obtained by J-Team. So as things stand, they're in a bit of a power play, but for J-Team, they're certainly still comfortable with the situation. They just have to be able to withstand this.
He's in a really bad position, gets focuses down first. The Wild Growth not going to save him. And
no chance.
What was he doing there? That was, if you look at the rest of the map, he was so far up, and Korea wants more. Yumi trying to get the chase down. Korea doesn't have his ultimate anymore, but he's going to cut across those side lanes here. Husky with a good slowdown on the taunt. Let's see if Rock can find anyone. He could still flash it. Yusha now the target. He goes down, and
stop the board.
Deja vu. This is so Impunity.
Yeah, they're really just risking it all, trying to get Jackpot to do to allow him to do what he wants right now. Of course, he didn't have the teleport, so he couldn't even join if he wanted to. But because he immediately runs straight for that top lane wave, okay, he's looking for the 1v1. Cannonball here.
The one knocked up, but J-Team members are going to be here. Rock also has the flash.
Wait, the turn?
So it's going to re-engage. Coming in from Konger, not sure about that one, and he just instantly goes down.
I think he really wanted to buy space for Rock to actually get out, but Rock was already out, and he ends up overcommitting. That's going to be a man sort of power play here for Impunity. That's massive. They're going to be able to break that tier 2 mid tower and maybe even snag that tier 2 bot. Doesn't look like they'll turn their attention over. They want to get these purchases in before the next dragon does spawn in 90 seconds. And they do have a lot of gold to play around with, as it is going to be Sivir now completing her 3-item power spike. This is where she does so much work in these team fights. One auto can just obliterate a team because of the ricochet.
I'm looking at the items here. I'm looking at the gold. This is probably the closest game we have seen, I think, the entire week, going up to 27 minutes into a critical infernal soul here. It's you know, it's really getting dicey. I feel like both of these teams, the last couple of team fights have been won or lost on honestly quite random picks here. So how should each side set up for this critical fight?
Yeah, for the side of Impunity, it's all about protecting Annex because of how strong he is. Even Jackpot, he's gone for the G8 second item, so doesn't have the necessary split push items. It's all about the team fight. For J-Team, they really need to protect Uniboy and Lil V, as they've got more of a spread out advantage with their damage output. And namely,
Jackpot could be the one being caught here. He does get interrupted. Galio has to come down to save him, but it's not enough. Jackpot pops into GA. Onyx trying to get into the fight. Hasn't found the angle just yet. He's opening up onto Konger, but Rock goes into the back line. Yushin could just be falling to the Ultra Shock Laser. He
Oh,
is
no.
down, double kill
Luffy.
onto Little V, and he still has the stasis. He's going on for more. It's an 80
Bounces.
versus 80
The bounce.
build, and the crit goes down. Sivir is dead. Triple kill to Little V, and that's gonna be the Infernal Soul to J-Team.
And it's just, they end up catching out Jackpot. And that mistake cost them so much because the rest of the team aren't able to back him up fast enough. Yes, you have the cannonball to help stall. Yes, you have a GA. But it's all for naught because you're just playing way too far out from the rest of your team. And they just don't respect the Taliyah. This Taliyah has just ran circles around them so far in this game. We get to see the replay. They're all occupied, setting up for Dragon. Jackpot's just taking his bot wave. What are you doing? You're way too far out. Yes, you have the Galio to come in, but because of that wall, Alex can't come to bail you out. So he just essentially died for free, even though with that GA, buy some extra time, that's so much of their damage gone. And it allows you to just tunnel in onto the Sivir, right? The Sivir is like 90% of the damage. When you die out like that, they can just be like, well, all we have to do is just kill Sivir now.
I'm not mistaken in thinking that was completely unnecessary from Impunity, right? I just feel like the last couple of fights have just been so odd for Impunity because we just see random members just get picked off over and over again. They even had vision and positional advantage on top of the Infernal break. So
it's really just them hovering in the wrong areas, right? Either Impunity have to hover harder towards that bot half of the river, or Jackpot just has to respect the fact that they can collapse on him with Taliyah wall way too fast. Because this Taliyah just has so much damage that you're not going to last long if you get caught out by this champion, because she is 606 now, Clement, and she has almost the Flame Horizon. This champion is not throwing rocks, she's throwing mountains at you.
Much more damage output coming out from J-Team at this time point. As you said, the Taliyah damage is on board, the Infernal Soul is there. I feel like J-Team are done with subtlety, and they're just going to go all in. Rock is going to survive the initial burst right down here, but finally goes down, and that was a surprising turn of events as Impunity just taking Oh, but the damage onto Yushin! Little V nearly just three-shots him. Impunity looking for an angle to go back in as they have vision of Uniboy. Good spider senses there by Kogure. Spots out that the re-engage from Impunity was a little bit fishy. Figured that they were standing on top of the ward, and they're gonna take a much more calm track now that they are playing without their top laner.
And I would still say that if Impunity are given the time to actually organize the team fight, and they're the ones initiating the fight, they actually do feel like they're in a comfortable spot, right?
We just saw it.
When the Wombo combo actually comes through with the Camille Galio combination in a proactive manner, then J-Team can't do a whole lot about it, right? Because you split Lil V away from the fight. And this is onto like the frontline tank, right? This is all the engage poured onto Rock. And the side of J-Team, if they lose Rock that quickly, not a lot of frontline left, because even though Kogure is going for this tank build, doesn't have the GA quite completed yet. So once the GAs do come online, then maybe things get once more kind of dicey and 50-50 situation. But Annex is just, he is so monstrous at this moment, almost at 100% crit, but the wall comes out.
Uniboy looking for Jackpot once more, gets the knockback. He stays alive with the wild growth, but just barely. I wanted to ask you that, I think Impunity, yes, they can get the first kill, they can get the resets, but can they actually finish off Little V plus Enzo at this point? It seems so difficult to do now that Little V is online. Now that the Yumi's got a lot of stats he can throw at people, I'm not sure Impunity win with the first kill. Yeah.
It's certainly a tough ask. Well, I don't think J-Team quite realized that they have the ability to still win even if they lose Rock. And They're playing things a little bit more patiently instead.
Jackpot?
Jackpot's been really bold with his position.
He definitely feels like someone that plays the lottery quite a bit, you know?
Yeah.
He fishes for things, and a lot of times I'm not sure it's good for his health. J-Team are Fall 5 members here, and they have made their way into the river. Impunity taking a big bunch of damage.
Over.
Alex is stopped. Jackpot going in, but he's almost going to die right off the bat. No, turns it around onto Rock. Rock the first one to fall, and the resets are going through here. Kongria dies here. Jackpot going down next, but Little V and Enzo, they can clear this one up. They're still holding strong right here. The boomerang goes across Little V twice. Onyx charges forward, but he's still down. He goes into the first to face Jake. He dies. It's a triple kill for Little V, and he's going to hunt down the squad. Yushi's got nowhere to go, and it's going to be an ace for J-Team. This is what I was talking about. I don't think they can finish off the Pikachu.
Yeah, when you dump all your damage onto Rock with your combination, it leaves Lil V able to just run rampant through that fight, and finally Impunity get punished for that mistake. They constantly try to just say, you know what, we're okay with how things are organized right now. We just killed Rock and we can play out from there. They lost both of their frontline champions at the start of the fight. In Rock, in Kongria, there was no frontline left, and they could not find the kill on to Lil V. He stands tall, he gets himself essentially a 2v5 quadra kill. We'll see the replay. Jackpot comes over the wall, and he's just like over forcing these fights way too hard. He doesn't get a quality engage, even though Husky, you know, he's really committed to trying to follow up for his squad. It's just not enough. The space gains, and it just boils down to Jackpot just fishing, not for the right engages. He's just really strong-arming these things, and if it works, it works, but right now it's not working.
Yeah, I will say that was a lot closer than I anticipated from Impunity. They actually just completely dodged everything from Uniboy and killed him without much trouble. So I feel almost ambivalent about that, because I feel like Impunity could have called it quits after the Talia kill and actually be somewhat fine. They still had a 4v2.
Sure.
So yeah, you know, Jackpot, the initial fight was pretty ugly, forced themselves up a ramp, but all in all, it wasn't even that bad for Impunity. I don't think they're completely out of it, but this time around, they do have to, I think they have to pay a lot more respect to late game Zeri and the possibilities of actually catching up to her. They were way too cavalier on the back end of that fight.
Absolutely.
And as now, we have the Baron buff here.
The issue is now you have double Uber buffs, right? J-Team, they've got Soul, they have Baron, they have Elder. The issue is, it might not even take a really good engage from J-Team because of just how much damage now that the Zeri can do. Like, one Ultra Shock Laser could one-shot you, as we just see there.
50% HP gone from Yushin, in comes J-Team. It's not even a double buff, it's a triple major buff at this point. Impunity, they've got no chance fighting in onto this one. They are going to have to wait until the Elder Dragon finally falls off here, and that's going to still be a couple more seconds as we're looking at the bottom left here.
But they go.
J-Team, they're just going in. They're not going to wait until it falls off. Alex gets blown up by Little V. Impunity still waiting across. Jackpot, Hookshot just used no engage potential right now, and Little V is going to lead the charge as an AD carry. Going up against Onyx, he gets tagged twice, has to go back to the fountain. J-Team have the base open. Impunity still looking for that engage potential. Literally fighting from the front line. He's the general, he's charging down on this one, and they're gonna get the combo. In goes the combo, but they still don't find Little V. He holds his ground. He snipes down Jackpot in midair, and J-Team are going to secure what seemed to be a much closer game than the standings indicate.
J-Team, they managed to get across the finish line, but it wasn't without some trials and tribulations. Lil V had to really strong arm that fight to get the quadra kill, but once that quadra came through, it felt like the game was done and dusted. Everything else just fell right into place because of the fact they were able to get a 5 Dragon Soul. It led into a pretty early Elder Dragon into the Baron buff, and it was pretty much a step-by-step execution into the Nexus.
And I have to say, this game really felt like Impunity had a lot of moments where they were in the lead. Remember, they actually got the first Baron, and their push was stopped because Onyx was just caught out in the middle of nowhere. They had better positioning, they had better vision, and they still gave up on the Infernal Soul. We can talk about the team fights a little bit later. I'm getting ahead of myself, but taking a look at the draft so far, what would you? Is there anything you would have tweaked here? Which side of the draft did you actually favor?
I think Impunity did good enough adaptations during the draft phase, right? They get themselves a Sivir, and it does well into both the Zarya Philias. With those early game bans taken off the table, it really sets up for Sivir to actually succeed. And when you look at this lineup, it really is about Annex being able to hyper carry. So give him a hyper carry like a Sivir or a Jinx. It does feel like it's the blueprint to success. I like how things follow. I just don't really like the Viego pick still, even though there were some moments where he's able to actually get those souls. He doesn't bring enough to the table in the early phase that they could effectively snowball off of this Galio pick. And you saw in the early mid game that it was all J team being able to generate picks. Yes, the team fight's a little bit better with a Viego, but you can't protect your lanes as well as, and it just gives you so much airspace for Kongya to just dominate the Rift.
Absolutely. I almost would have preferred a Lee Sin here, or just something that has a little bit more presence. But yeah, I think Impunity, they had a good draft in terms of setting up Onyx, getting in hyper carry, winning the bot lane super hard with the bans and just with the champion picks here. But it did all come down to the fact that I think J Team just they got a couple of steals early on, and they were able to pick off Impunity so many times. To be fair, J Team themselves, it looked like they were just going to close this game off with a triple kill on Husky at the start, and then they walked in and gave a quad to Impunity. So a lot of things we can be seeing from both sides. I'm just kind of curious, like, do you think we are going to be seeing more of these drafts further out today? I know we might be moving to 12.14 in playoffs, so we're not going to be talking about that. But what do you feel about these? Is the critical point of these sort of catch and pick drafts that have been happening this week?
Yeah, I think these pick-heavy compositions are really mostly a revolve around that mid lane, right? It's when you have Talia, when you have Galio, it really accentuates that sort of pixel play style, I should say. And we see here, like, these are really strong champions, and especially this Talia pick, because you are able to sort of 1v5 carry as well during the early mid game, as we get to see the damage charts mostly from these AD carries, as we kind of saw, right? Because of how far Husky was put behind, he was just very ineffective aside from his ultimate.
Yeah, the way J-Team was able to target him down was absolutely beautiful. A lot of back and forth, but at the end of the day, J-Team, they get the string of objectives, and Little V comes up as the MVP. There's a reason why you can't give him Zeri. 13 kills, 79% kill participation, and a whopping 4,800 gold lead at the very end.
Almost 40% of his team's damage as well, even with Uniboy pumping out so much damage. And I do want to shout out Uniboy, though, with his performance on that Talia, set them up to get to Lil V being able to carry, right? It was multiple picks onto Jackpot that slowed the game down, especially that pick in the mid lane onto Annex after that Baron buff, right? So this comeback was spearheaded by this Talia pick from Uniboy.
True, and that's going to be J-Team inching closer to 14 wins and now tying it up with BCG and PSG at the top. Don't go anywhere, as we're going to come back with Sem9 versus Jewish Team. Last chance for Sem9 to claw another win onto the table.